Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of our free-to-play series. If you've been following along, you're probably around where I am. So you'll have a bit of gold and some shiftstone centered up here now. We've been doing some drafts. Last week we focused a lot on doing draft and finishing up our gauntlet, which is something that we have done. We are now masters in gauntlet, so I'm hoping that you'd probably be around the same level and maybe gotten a few drafts under your belt as well. I happen to be silver. We've done about 3 or 4, so we've done pretty well in the draft so far. And I also started doing some ranked matches. So we ran our ranked week 2 list from last week, and now it's time to make some upgrades. So now we have our rank week 3, which is, I started a little early. This is really week 1 of the actual season, but we got a little bit of a head start, did some puzzles and some gauntlet and things, and now we're doing our run to try and actually get a good ranking in the season. And what we want to do, you will probably see this Rakano list from last week. We had things like Oathkeeper and Copper Hull Cudgel and Ornate Katana kind of as budget choices, but it's a nice little aggro list, some Whirling Duos and Unseen Commandos. These are the cards that we invested in. We invested in Unseen and Whirlings, a couple of Hammer of Mights, some of the cards like that. And then, of course, like Oni Ronin, Torch, Rakano, Outlaw, all of the basics of your Rakano aggro deck. At this point, we want to take out some of those budget options, because we've got a little bit of shiftstone. We don't have a lot. We can only make 1 legend off of this, but we can make quite a few rares. And there's a rare in particular that I'm interested in. So we've got Ornate Katana and we've got Copper Hull Cudgel. Copper Hull Cudgel is good because of the fact that, we talked about it before, it gives you 2 things for 1. So even if they kill it, you still end up with at least something for your trouble. Well, there's a weapon that does a better job. And Ornate Katana does that to a lesser extent as well. There's something that does a better job than that. And that is Shogun Scepter. And at this point, we have enough to add in a whole bunch of them. Another thing that I was lucky enough to get, you may or may not have all of these. If you don't, then you can probably craft them with your shiftstone, because they are rare, but you'll probably have about enough shiftstone right now. If not, then concentrate a little bit more on doing some drafts or just playing some more ranked games and then swapping these out. Because I'm going to take the Minotaur Oathkeeper out. It's a nice little boost to some of your lifesteal units like Silverwing Familiar, but we've got enough Warcry that I would like to take them out. They're a bit of a budget option. And now we can put in some Valkyrie Enforcer. So Valkyrie Enforcer is good for dealing with opposing units that are a problem. And of course, Shogun Scepter gives us a 2-1 Oni Ronin with Warcry when it comes into play. So it works as a Copper Hull Cudgel, but it gives you the creature immediately. Just so much better. Much more efficient card. The Warcry on both is also really relevant, so you can continue to just snowball out of control if you get a good start. And it's a pretty good upgrade, I think, for our deck. One other thing is we should probably look at our mana base. So we wouldn't mind getting some more Waystones. And looky there, we got another Granite Waystone. So we're going to take 1 Fire Sigil out, put in another Granite Waystone. And we could probably even go all the way up to 4. We have enough at this point for shiftstone that shouldn't be a problem. And here's what we're looking at. Create our deck. 2450, boom, there we go. We have our ranked week 3 list. If you want to see this list, it's up on Eternal Warcry, and it's also down below the stream in the description. Gotta actually take out a Fire Sigil. So you can find those on Eternal Warcry or on the description below, so you can just import that directly in. If you need to know how to do that, what you want to do is just quickly click Import Deck and have it in your clipboard. So, super easy. You can just import the deck directly, and we're going to run through some ranked games and see if we can get some wins. We're going to run 5 ranked games. Okay, this hand is awkward. We just need another fire. I think that we want to redraw this. Too scary to not have the fire. Yeah, this is much better. Oni Ronin's pretty great. Something else that I have been doing, actually, as a really quick aside, is if you want to follow along... Whoa, wait, what? 143 cards. That's interesting. I noticed how big that was. That kind of interrupted my line of thought. But If you're interested in following along with every single game that I play, I am actually making a Google document that will include every single game that I play in ranked with this deck, start to finish, so you can follow along with that. And I will put the link in the description here and leave it open for everybody to see. So I think that's an interesting little piece of history for everybody. I'm going to attack. I don't think I'll Finest Hour if they block. I think it is just a trade. I would doubt that they block, though, because there's got to be a combo with the Whispering Wind. That's why they're doing it.
Draw, mister!
This is quite a list. I'm interested as to where they're going with it. I want to see what they get off of the Whispering Wind. Or is it just, like, all of their cards? It can't be, though. Oh, wow. Plague's pretty sweet. I'm going to leave that back to block. I think that I just want to Sword of Icaria it, honestly. I know that I could Shogun Scepter, but I just don't want this thing actually getting off the ground. Whispering Wind is a scary card. It leads to a lot of different combos, and you really just don't want to have that problem happen. Cut it off before it becomes a big issue.
I will unite them.
I admit, I'm feeling pretty confident, but these kinds of matches, I like to talk about where, there's the assumption of whether your opponent is bad or not. And it's generally a good idea to just err on the side of my opponent probably knows something that I don't know.
Defend the throw! Defend the throw!
Because the thing is if my opponent is just playing a bad deck, and they're not playing very well, okay, fine. Well, they're playing a bad deck, they're not playing very well. If I assume that they're playing good, and I'm wrong, so they're actually just playing poorly, there's not a lot of downside. They're just playing bad, and I'm going to win anyways. But if I assume that they're playing badly and they don't know what they're doing, and my opponent actually knows what they're doing and they're just going deep and have a really cool idea, then I get myself wrecked. Not a good spot to be in. So generally, good idea to assume that your opponent knows what they're doing. Aegis on all of their strangers is very solid. This could be an issue. Strangers can give us some problems. Triumphant Stranger was a very good hit for them. Yep.
The speaker approaches.
That is a big sword.
Take my sword!
Kinda have to kill that. I think we keep attacking, though, even though we're losing the 7-3 sword if they don't block. Alright, they are blocking. Sweet. At this point, I would have definitely, if I'm the opponent, just not blocked and waited to try and get the swing back. Not the fastest start. If this was a torch, I think I would snap keep. Since it's not, I'm a little bit hesitant. I might want to side out these Finest Hours sometime soon, too, if I can upgrade some more cards. Get some more Valkyrie Enforcers in. Maybe only run 2 Finest Hour. I'm gonna keep it. This is risky, though. Yep, that's what I'm worried about. There's a lot of aggro decks, by the way. I mean, a lot of Rakano aggro decks at this level. Rakano and Stone Scar are just all over this meta, so we've got to keep hands that have interaction. Oh, this is
mister.
Skycrag. I actually haven't seen Skycrag in a while. Oh, I wish that one of these was a torch so badly right now.
Wield the flame.
We're definitely going to use Sword of Icaria here first. And the reason being...
Take my sword!
I'd rather have that get torched, like this, than have the Unseen Commando get torched. Yep. Because next turn I can Unseen Commando and still hold up a Finest Hour, and then they don't really have a good attack. And it gains me a lot of life back, so that can pull me back into this game.
Die with honor.
They have a very good hand, though.
Trust in your skills.
This is gonna be a tough one. Oh, wow. That's the perfect card for them. Well, not much you can do about that one.
Rakano's
Draw, mister.
And I don't have enough blockers to actually live, so they just attack with everything and we're dead. Yeah, they had a really good start. The Finest Hours are not great when we're not on the attack, and when we don't have anything early game, it's a big problem. Not sure why our opponent's not just attacking. Okay, they figured it out. A little bit of a slow roll there from the opponent. But, that'll happen. I mean, this is the aggro meta. We're just going to be smashing each other back and forth very, very quickly like that. And sometimes those games end up a little bit lopsided. We certainly could have mulliganed. I was worried that they would be aggro because a lot of the decks that we're playing are aggro. If I know 100% that they were aggressive, then I probably would just have shipped that hand, tried something different. But what do? I can't psychically know. I maybe should have guessed, though, just because of the way that I think a lot of the early meta is. If you're playing against people that are in bronze and don't have a lot of cards, the easiest decks to build for the most part are fairly aggressive. So I should have played around that. But we'll go for game 3. Okay. This hand is intriguing. If we get a power, then we're in great shape because of the Shogun Scepter. Well, it'd have to be fire, but either Shogun Scepter or Unseen Commando comes online. We can play all of the other cards. Torch, Crownwatch, and Champion. I think this is fine. These Finest Hours. Yeah, I'm not liking where they're showing up today. They've done pretty well before now. I don't think they're bad, but right now they're certainly making it look not good. Not the card that we were hoping for right now. It's really good on a stalled board. Like, on a board where we're both kind of even, we can break through, and that's really useful. Play that Shogun Scepter. It's the most damage early, and it's also just adding in an extra creature onto the board, plus the War Cry. There's so much good about it. This is double Vanquish? No. Interesting. So I'm very concerned that they're just going to play a power card and hit a harsh rule here. So I don't know that I want to add anything to the board. We'll see. Lightning Strike. Okay. That means that I do want to add to the board then.
Rakano's weapons are unmatched.
Also, I just made a really big mistake. I could have Finest Houred that. I wasn't thinking about the Scepter. I'm being silly. The Scepter added +1 toughness, so Finest Hour would have actually been amazing there. It would have done a perfect job.
Think you can escape me?
But boy, did I make a big mistake. Alright, we'll kill that. This becomes a 1/1. That's fine. That was a very large Champion of Glory. I'm gonna play... In the interests of power, do I want to play the Champion of Glory or the Unseen Commander? The thing is, the Unseen Commando gives us a little bit better power, because we're using all of our power in a turn. Champion of Glory we might be able to play with something else, right? On a turn when we want to also Finest Hour, we can do that. But it is a lot more damage to play the Champion of Glory right now. Or, well, only one.
Trust
only
in your
one.
skills.
I'm just going to do this. I think this is better. There's the harsh rule. Okay.
This ends now.
So they did draw that afterwards. They might have had it the whole time, but I don't think so.
Trust in your skills.
Get another Commando down. And the hidden echo card. The hope is that that was a find the way and isn't particularly useful. Yeah, I kind of deserve to lose this for that play with the Crownwatch Paladin, because I think that we should have been winning this very handily if I did it properly.
Take my sword!
I think there's a decent chance they have another harsh rule. I just kind of want to add to the board, but without actually playing creatures. Disjunction. Okay. Fair enough. They get it anyways. They left something up. Could he... No, nothing on the attack. I'm waiting for some kind of
Rakano's weapons are unmatched.
Die with honor.
play there. At this point, now I'm just going to slam everything in. I know that they could have a harsh rule, but I do have a follow-up in the Unseen Commando. They're low enough that I want to try. So they need to hit power harsh rule. Could definitely do it. They're not slamming it, so that probably means they lose. Woo! Nice. Nice, nice, nice. Almost threw that game away. Did a really big mistake there. Just my brain said it had 1 power, and I was like, well, I can't finest hour past the lightning strike because it's gonna go to 4. Nope, would have gone to 5. Would have actually been really, really good for me. I would have gotten a blowout there and probably won the game very quickly after that, but it turned out okay, I suppose. And we'll go to game 4. Champion of Glory. We need any power and we can get a Hammer of Might on it. Justice and we get the Unseen Commander. And of course we've got all the top decks of just hitting an Oni Ronin or Rakano Outlaw or any of those kinds of cards, and we can play all of them. So this seems like a keeper to me. Not an insane hand, but reasonable enough to keep. Ooh. I'm a little bit afraid of Shadow. Oh, never mind. Or, they got a second Shadow? Okay, I'm gonna play another Justice. That was a good draw.
Rakano's
So we can play Champion of Glory with extra toughness. The reason why I want to do that with, like, have extra health on it is that whenever you see Shadow, you've got to be a little bit worried about Vara's Favor, because Vara's Favor just is a real nasty piece of work against us.
Trust in your skills.
Really, really well. When they can pick off an Oni Ronin, or worse, something like Champion of Glory, because it only has 1 toughness, that's not where we want to be. Very good draws for us. And it looks like our opponent might be in trouble. I'm surprised about the Horus Traver if they're just in 2 colors.
My favorite part.
We have Vanquish, we have Torch. We have multiple ways to get rid of that, but I don't think we actually care. Really what we want to do is just smash for the most damage possible and get some Warcry triggers. So let's do that. Now we just get to hit hard and fast. We are putting a lot into this, so if they have an Annihilate, then it's pretty bad for us. But we have to take some risks. We still have a Hammer of Might to make something else pretty big, and we have the option, of course, hopefully, of hitting whatever we've Warcried onto now. Memory Dredger. Sure. I don't even really care about killing that. We're just able to smash. I think we probably even hammer again. They have to start chump blocking. This is 13 while they're at 11. They're not in good shape. So the 1/1 jumps in front of the 7/7. Or do they just scoop?
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. And Game 4 in the bag. Ooh, here we are in the finals for the week. Crownwatch Paladin, champion. This hand looks great. Nat keeping it. It's not the best hand that we've had, but it's very solid. I might lead with Crownwatch or Rakano. Don't think that we want to lead with the Champion of Glory. And I think it's gonna be Crownwatch since they haven't played anything. And they're in 3 colors at least, so that's gonna mean that they're a little clunkier. Bit more worried about removal rather than a creature blocking. Because that's really the difference, is whether we're worried about a blocker or whether we're worried about removal. Turns out I was wrong. That's okay. We're going to Whirling Duo, even though it doesn't give us Warcry, because next turn we can play both the Champion of Glory and the Rakano Outlaw. They should block. Yep. Suffocate's pretty good. They are stuck on power, though.
Rakano's
Draw, mister!
We're just going to jam both of these. I've got to think that if they're on half of our power and we're the aggro deck, that's a problem for one or both of us. Another Suffocate. Ugh. Okay. Got a lot of early game control. That could be a big issue.
Die with
Suffocate's not a card that you see a whole lot of in higher ranks, but the card's good. It's certainly not bad at all. Wish that we had the Finest Hour, because boy, that'd be fun to blow it out. Uh-oh. This is where they could just pull out of this. Okay, good news. Drawing that Finest Hour was excellent. This is going to make it very hard for them to do anything. Yep.
Rakano's weapons are unmatched.
And we get to keep slamming in. It's also a really good sign. Okay, there we go. Like, it's a really good sign that they're doing Nightfall, because that's the problem we're running into at that point in the game, is that our deck has played everything, so we're just relying on the top of our library, and if we don't actually have good cards that we're taking off the top, if we just draw some more power, then they can get a couple of removal spells, kill our creatures, and suddenly we just lose. It can turn on a dime in that kind of a game. But Nightfall is a double-edged sword, and it's really bad against aggro. It causes a lot of problems, because you Nightfall, and you just give them more things to kill you with, which is really tough. It lets the actual aggro decks keep extending into the board and gives them a little bit of extra reach for later games. So not a great way to play against an aggro deck. I mean, there's nothing they can do about it, but it's just that that's something that you can take into heart when you're building your decks, is realize that most of the Nightfall cards that you're going to add will generally mean that you have a worse matchup against aggro decks, because they're really, really bad to try and stabilize against aggro decks. They give them too many cards, and that's where aggro decks suffer, is that they run out their cards really, really fast, so they end up with no cards quickly, and if you give them extras, they're just going to run away with the game a lot of the time. In any case, this is a pretty good week. We've managed to win another one here. And I've got the document. I'll link it down below so that everybody can take a look at where I am. I've included my rank start and end for each game, whether I won or lost, what I played against, and what week it is. So that's basically what will match up for the deck that I was playing that week. Right now, we've played 20 games now at the end of that, because we played 15 last week in ranked, and now I played 5 so far this week. And that has led us to an 80% win percentage. I've lost 4 games. We had one of the losses here on stream and 3 before. So this is pretty sweet. This list is doing really, really well. I don't think that it's attainable to continue an 80% win percentage. That's a very, very high amount. If you're not at that level, don't be discouraged. A lot of it is a lot of good draws, a lot of luck. We've done really, really well to get this far, this fast. So just some good luck. Some probably players that are fairly new with their decks, and I think that our deck is well positioned against that. As we get to higher ranks, we're definitely going to see that drop off. A really good win percentage across a large number of games is going to be something like 60-65%. That would be fantastic. A good example to look at for that is that there was stats released a while ago for a different game, but Magic. I'm sure most of you are pretty familiar with Magic because it's something that I do on my channel as well. But the Hall of Fame type players that play in Magic, they release stats on their day one at tournaments, so when they're playing in tournaments, and they have about a 65% win percentage. So if you're looking at that, for you to expect to have more than that is really kind of crazy. It's unlikely that you can maintain that high of a win percentage. You're going to get games where you just don't have any power, or where you draw way too much power, or where it's just a really bad matchup for you, especially when we're playing Eternal and you're just playing a best of one. So, like, aggro can run up against the deck that is just all anti-aggro, full of combo healers, all that kind of stuff, and you just really can't do too much about that. You don't have a way to sideboard and try and take the game off of them later, so... In any case, this is a great week. The deck's looking really, really good. I'm surprised, honestly, at just how much we've already gotten done for a deck. Like, this deck looks almost 100%. Like, it's really competitive already. It's a very solid list. Considering that this is 3 weeks of play, a bit of intense play. I mean, we did all of the puzzles. We did the Forge and Gauntlets. I mean, we've done quite a bit of grinding, but... to get it this early is pretty crazy. I mean, you can consider somebody that's very, very casual, that only plays a couple times a week, could probably do this by, like, a month and a half? Like, so 6 weeks? They could pretty reasonably have a deck this good, if not a little bit better even. So I'm very happy with the way that Eternal is looking as far as the generosity side of things. Like, this is just a very good example of what I had been thinking that it was still doing, that you can get a very competitive list very quickly, and I think that this has backed it up so far. So we're going to be doing some more building next week, so of course stay tuned, and if you can, like and subscribe to the videos and to the channel as well. If you may or may not notice this, but I have a Patreon, and I do really appreciate all of the wonderful people that help me with patrons. And I have a special shout out to Mercurio Blue, our one patron that's at the level that gets a special shout out. And of course to my wonderful sponsor, inkedgaming.com. They have a link down below the stream. So if you'd like to support my stream and my videos here, then you can certainly check out inkgaming.com. I have some cool channel-related art in my own game store, but I also have a coupon code, so if you want to buy something else, and they've got mouse pads and play mats and all kinds of wonderful things for gaming, dice bags, things like that. You can check out below. I have the code Ilyon12, ILYON 12, and that'll give you 12% off of your order. So if you're ordering anything off of inkgaming.com and they have some really, really cool custom design stuff, then you can put in that code and it helps me out. They sponsor me. I don't actually get any money for you using the code, but it does just kind of help with my sponsorship and, you know, the relationship there. And they've really helped me be able to continue to do full-time content for all of you wonderful people. So thanks a bunch for that, and I will see you next week.